Welcome, beautiful women, warrioresses, beautiful soul. Before we begin, I'd love for you to just take a moment with me, and I'd like for you to really, really take a deep breath in and really let your chest rise and then exhale slowly. Do it a few times, ladies. Nice deep breaths in, let the chest rise, and then exhale slowly. Do that a couple more times. Just deep breaths, just connect within. Let everything just sort of slow down as you do that. And allow yourself to fully arrive here tonight, because this is your space. So tonight is all about you. It's about you and your energy, your freedom and your power. And when I say power, I don't mean the kind that pushes or controls. I mean the power that is kind of soft and steady and unshakable. You know, we live in a world that pulls at us constantly. You know, everyone wants a piece of our attention, our time, our emotional energy. And, you know, so often without even realizing it, we just give it away. And over time, you know, that constant giving leaves us really depleted and resentful. And most of all, it starts to make us feel really disconnected with ourselves. But this session is different. So tonight, we're going to explore why we lose our energy and how boundaries are often the missing piece. So for so many women, men as well, of course, and how we can reclaim the power to create freedom that flows into every part of your life. So if you have a cup of tea nearby, or, you know, if you have a notebook, make yourself comfortable, because this isn't about just about receiving information. This is also about activating something inside of you. And by the end of our time together today, my hope is that you feel a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit clearer, and more ready than ever to honor yourself in a way you've never done before. You happy with that? Can I have yes in the chat box so I know it's all working, because I love that interaction. Are you all happy with that? Just pop it in the chat box. Yes, there's something going on. Yes, yes, yes. Good, fantastic. So what I'd like to start with, you guys that haven't done my webinar before, I want to do the Awaken Wellness Warriors prayer and intention. So what I'm going to get you to do is just to have one hand on your heart and one hand on your stomach, and just close your eyes for a moment. You can just breathe deeply. So I call upon my inner warrioress or warrior to rise within me. May I stand strong in my body, fierce in my spirit, and worthy in my soul. I release the patterns and pain that no longer serve me. I choose love over fear, truth over illusion, and courage over comfort. And I open my heart to healing, my mind to wisdom, and my soul to guidance. May every step I take be in alignment with my higher self. I honor my journey, I trust my becoming, and I claim my power. All right, let's get into it, hey? So here's what we're going to explore together tonight. So, first, we're going to look at the hidden reasons why your energy might feel so drained. And ladies, I want you to know it's not just because you're busy or because you need more sleep. Often the real reason is invisible. It's those subtle leaks in your emotional, your mental, and even spiritual boundaries. Then we're going to dive into the connection between boundaries and personal power. Most women I work with think boundaries are only about saying no. But the truth is, they're really about saying a much bigger yes to the things, to the people, and the experiences that truly matter to us. And we're also going to talk about freedom. And I don't just mean freedom from obligation, I mean a deeper kind of freedom. You know, the kind where your mind feels spacious, your body feels really grounded, and your soul feels really connected to its truth. And then I'll be sharing with you my Warrioress Way framework. And that's a really simple yet soulful map to help you reclaim your energy sovereignty in your everyday life. So most importantly, you'll leave tonight not just inspired, but you'll have some practical steps that you can start using right away, because this isn't about it isn't about a motivational talk, ladies. It's about you walking away feeling more empowered. So who is it for? Well, this webinar masterclass is for you if you're often at the end of the day wondering, why am I so tired? Even when you haven't done anything particularly physical. You probably notice it's not just about what you do, but who you're around. Some people, some places, or conversations leave you feel lighter, but then on the other hand, others leave you feel so much heavier. Maybe you've caught yourself saying yes when deep down you really wanted to say no. Not because you wanted to do it, but because you felt guilty or didn't want to disappoint, or, someone. You just felt guilty. You might even be, like a natural giver. You love to support, you love to nurture, and you love to help. And yet it feels like you've been pouring from an empty cup for far too long. And if you've been craving more breathing space, more self-respect, more self-love, and the ability to protect your energy without apology, then you're definitely in the right place tonight. So how do you feel about that? Do you girls, warrioresses, resonate with that at all? You can put it in the chat box. I would say a few of you. Yeah. So I'd like to say, ladies, that I know this path very, very well because I have lived it myself. There was a time when I thought exhaustion was just my normal, and I was working really long hours, and I was saying yes to extra commitments. I was taking calls all night, not all night, but very late hours. And because I wanted to be seen as reliable. I was nurturing, I was helpful, I was caring, always answering people's calls. And what I was doing, I was telling myself I'm strong enough to handle it all. But do you know what? Inside, it was really starting to, inside I was running on fumes, and my patience was thinner, and my body started showing signs of burnout, hormonally as well. And even things I used to love before, they started not to be so enjoyable. Um, the truth is, I wasn't tired from doing too much. I was tired from giving away my energy without discernment. I had no real boundaries, and the ones that I thought I had, I rarely honored. And ladies, it wasn't until I started learning about energy sovereignty that I am responsible for what I allow into my space, that things began to shift. So I began saying no without guilt, and I started tuning into my body's signals, and I started to honoring them. And slowly my vitality returned, my joy returned, and I felt very free, very different to what I hadn't done for years. So that's a little bit about my journey, and I'm sure you probably feel similar. Um, Most of you know my kind of background, and um, where I come from and all that. We don't need to go into that, but we all have our journey, and I'm sure we all have been there. So most of us uh, have been caught in this loop at some point. And the loop is this energy drain cycle. It usually begins with overgiving. So we stretch ourselves past our capacity because we want to help, we want to, be nurturing. Sometimes it's because we are afraid of what might happen when we say no. So after that overgiving, what happens is then comes the resentment, and that's a quiet frustration that builds when our needs keep being pushed to the bottom of the list. So we may not say this out loud, but our body will feel it. And resentment, it actually feeds fatigue. So suddenly our energy feels heavier. And even the smallest task starts to feel really overwhelming. Have you been there where you feel just the little things just starts to feel like they're the biggest things ever? Have you been there? Just pop it in the chat box. Yeah, very well. Yes, yeah, responsible and aware. Yep, yep. And ladies, when we are drained and when we begin to disconnect from our joy and our creativity, and sometimes even the people that we love the most, and before we know it, we're right back at the start of the cycle again, and we're doing it all over again, and it is freaking exhausting. Overgiving, resentment, we get fatigued, we disconnect, we repeat, and we do it again. And the truth is, the only way to break this cycle is to change the way we protect and we manage our energy. So, boundaries, I want to say boundaries are often misunderstood because people think they're about like shutting people out. It's about being cold, being rigid, but that's not at all what boundaries are. So boundaries are not walls, they are doors that open to what aligns and close to what drains. So boundaries are about consciously choosing what you allow into your life and what you don't. I like to think about it this way. So your energy is like a home, and you wouldn't leave the front door open for anyone to wander in and start moving your furniture around, right? Because you get to decide who comes in and uh, when they come in and under what condition they come in. That's not rude, that's actually healthy. That's the boundaries. And when we begin to see boundaries as an act of self-love, as an way of declaring my energy is sacred, everything begins to shift. You feel so much safer, you feel clearer, and you feel more in control of your life. And you start to stop running on empty. And from that place of fullness, you can actually give to others in a way that feels nourishing instead of depleting. Just want to see what's yes and no. No, yes. Yeah, it happens when I least expect it. Yes. That's a picture of you. Absolutely. I think for a lot of us. So let's talk a little bit about freedom, because for me, freedom is about doing whatever I want, whenever I want. Whatever I want, sorry, whenever I want. It's not about a lack of structure or responsibility. It's about living in alignment with my truth and making choices that feel right for me, even if they don't match what others expect. And power is about holding that truth without fear. It's the ability to stand in your own energy, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it challenges your status quo. And when we bring freedom and power together, then everything shifts. And what happens is you actually stop apologizing for who you are. You stop explaining yourself to people who are never going to understand. And you start living with this grounded confidence that not only feels incredible, it also draws in the right people and the right opportunities almost effortlessly. So how do you feel about that, guys? I'll give you an example. Like, for example, me coming up here to the Sunshine Coast, there's a lot of people that will be affected of me taking a few days off. And in the past, what I would have done, I would have just gone, I can't do that to that person because, what are they going to do without me? 1 week without me. How they, it's just going to be really inconvenient. Oh my goodness. They're never going to be able to replace that Pilates class with me. I know the gym, they have to cancel it all. And in the past, I would have gone, I just can't do that. And do you know what? Now I just go, no, I don't owe anything to them. I want to live in alignment with my truth, and I want to be acting from that truth without fear. And I tell you, it's such a good feeling. And with that power, there were no kind of comments of, you can't do that. No, it was more like, go and do your thing. You need the time off. It's quite fascinating. Stop the guilt. Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. The guilt is a very, very low vibration, ladies. Very, very low. You've got to stop that guilt there. I love this picture. Do you love this picture? This is the warrior there. I would say she's the transformational warrior. Isn't that a beautiful photo? I just love that when I found it. I see it as a warrior and a goddess and an empowered transformational warrior. So I'm going to talk about the Warrioress way framework. So What this is a path that I guide women through when they reclaim their energy. And it begins with awareness. So awareness is about being honest about the subtle and not so subtle ways your energy is leaking out. So you're going to know your energy leaks. Then we move into alignment, and that's choosing what truly serves you. And that's being brave enough to let go of what doesn't. So that's choosing you, what's in alignment with you. And next comes action, and this is where we start to embody those choices. And it's about communicating your boundaries really clearly, holding them with love, and standing firm even when it feels uncomfortable. Because let's face it, in the start, you're going to feel really freaking uncomfortable. This is not going to be a pattern that you're used to. Yes, alignment for energy. I like that. Absolutely. So then we got the anchoring. Anchoring is really, really important because that's about creating simple daily and weekly rituals that keeps you grounded in your power so you don't feel like you're constantly starting over. So by the end of tonight, you'll have more clarity around each of these pillars, and you'll know exactly how to begin weaving them into your life. So let's go into a little bit more depth in each. And as I said, you'll get the work, the little journal after that you can kind of reflect on. So if you have a piece of paper, you can always write these things down. So the first one is awareness. So awareness, that's always where it starts, because the truth is you can't change what you're not willing to see. So start by simply noticing your energy in different situations. So if you can pay really big attention to how you feel around certain people, pay attention to how you feel in certain places, or even in the online spaces you spend time. Hopefully, you feel like you're in a good place here. And notice which ones leaves you feel lighter and which ones leaves you feel heavier. Can I get you to ask yourself, who or what is leaving me drained? Where am I still saying yes, even when my whole body is clearly saying no? Can I get you to reflect on that? You can write in the chat box if you want as well. And just whatever comes to you now. Isn't it interesting when we think about we're around certain people and we get a little bit heavy? And sometimes it can be family members too, you know. And I'd like you to look for the pattern. Do you always say yes to extra work, or to your family or your kids asking you to have the kids or grandkids? Do you always say yes to that because you're afraid of letting someone down or you feel guilty? Do you keep engaging in conversations that you already know will upset you? Oh, that's a big one, isn't it? That can be a big one. Because sometimes we have conversations and we kind of hope that that person's going to change. Oh, these can be really big energy leaks. I'm going to see what you've written. In my mind, I feel the guilt of not doing everything I can say yes. Yeah. I think most of us can really relate to that, hey? Now, we're talking about awareness. So I want to say awareness is not judgment. So one thing you've got to be clear about is that it's not about beating yourself up for this. This is about being honest. Because once you are willing to see these leaks, you finally have the power to start patching them. Okay, so it's like you're really observing what's going on. That's where it all starts. I'm just going to see what we got in the chat box here. Being with people that complain a lot. Absolutely. How many people don't complain about what's going on in the world? It's doom and gloom and the world's going under. Ladies, now we're going through massive shift in the world. We are going to be rocked to the core, and it's going to be so important to work on ourselves and go within and align ourselves with people that are going to keep helping you keep the energy up. And we're going to have to let go of those real people that are going to try to bring the energy down. It's your choice. So the next one is alignment. Once you know where your energy is leaking out, the next step is alignment. So alignment is really about making choices that are in harmony with your values and your goals and your overall well-being. So whenever you're faced with a decision, you pause and you ask yourself, does this align with my values? Is this moving me towards or away from my desired life? And when you're living in alignment, your energy naturally flows to the right places and you stop scattering yourself thin across things that really don't matter that much. And the beautiful thing about this step is that it takes away so much of the decision fatigue. Instead of wrestling in between, shall I say yes? Shall I say no? You simply check in and you go, is this aligned? And if that answer is no, then the decision becomes clear. We've got to be true to ourselves. I'm really clear at this point about the energy in its place, and I appreciate the chat. Fantastic. All right. Then we got pillar 3, which is action. So this is really where the rubber really meets the road. That is action. It's the one thing that you start to notice if your energy leaks, or even to choose alignment. But if you don't actually communicate your boundaries and follow through on them, then nothing changes. So action is about courage. It's about being able to say, no, I can't do that, or no, that doesn't work for me. And here's the important part. Boundaries aren't just about words you say, they're about the actions you take afterwards. For example, if you tell yourself, I won't answer work messages after 6 p.m., but then you keep checking and replying, and the boundary doesn't actually hold, because boundaries requires consistency. I had a friend lately that it was quite funny because he said, I sent a message and he was doing something important, and he answered. So I sent another message, and then he got quite annoyed because he said these messages comes in and I'm getting distracted, and I simply said, why don't you turn the phone on silent? I mean, it's such a simple solution. So it was quite funny. So he obviously needed to work on his boundaries, So, clarity is kindness. No is a complete sentence, and boundaries require follow through, not just talking about it, because it's one thing knowing and it's one thing actually doing it. Now, we've got anchoring. And this is about maintaining your boundaries and protecting your energy over time. Because here's the truth, it's not enough to set boundaries once, because life will consistently and constantly test them. That's why we need daily and weekly rituals that keep us connected to our power. So, for example, you can have a morning grounding practice, you can have a breathing practice, you can have movement, you can do clearing rituals with sage, you can have regular check-ins, journaling, meditation, walk in nature, or simply being quiet with a cup of tea before the rest of the world wakes up. So, who here has got some rituals in place already? And I mean consistent rituals. Yeah, it's funny how I taught him by sending messages. Yes, I do things very deliberate for him to actually wake up and make him very aware that he needed action. And I wasn't the problem, and I knew I wasn't the problem. It was him. He needed to be very clear on his boundaries. And I mean, how I do often hear people say, oh, I get distracted with all these, messages coming through and notifications through Facebook. And I go, well, who's in control here? That's an easy solution. Just turn the notifications on. I mean, can you imagine if I had my notifications on my phone? I mean, I'd had constant ping, 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 ping. And I always have my phone on silence. I wouldn't get anything done. It's hard enough with all the messages you get and everything. I have a lot I got to get through. And if I'm not careful and I don't have my boundaries, I start to get that fatigue and frustration. And I pick up on that very quickly when that happens. So it is crucially important that we learn this. Otherwise, you will be very, very drained. I use a lot of essential oils. I brought a whole lot of oil. You don't want to know how many oils I brought up here, but I use oils all the time. I love them. That is my ritual. It gets me connected. I use them in so many ways. So that is a beautiful. I use them in intention work. I use it for different things. I love that. But these anchors, they're the ones that are going to get you to stay in power no matter what life throws at you. So I want you to really feel the truth of this. So when we live without boundaries, we pay a really, really heavy price because we start to experience chronic fatigue. I don't mean that one of tiredness that goes away with a nap. I mean the kind that sits really deep in your bones. And, burnout can slowly creep in. And here's the big one. The things that you once enjoyed, it actually starts to feel like chores. Have you been there? Have you picked up on that where there's things in the past where you're like, oh, incense oil cancer, yeah. Have you been there where you feel like the things that you really enjoyed, all of a sudden, it starts to feel like it's a bit of a chore. And you find yourself becoming emotionally brittle. You're quicker to snap, you're a bit annoyed, and it takes longer to recover. And what can happen is resentment begins to seep into relationships, and sometimes very quietly in the background. Sometimes it's loud with conflicts, but over time, it can create a real, real damage. And perhaps the most devastating part, you lose sight of who you really are. You become what other people need you to be instead of living your authentic self. So you actually lose your self-identity over time. And so many people, as women predominantly I speak to, they feel like I don't know myself anymore. And often it is women that have been giving for years and years. We've had kids, we've had losses, we've had loss of relationship, we've had aches and pains. And, we've lost our self-identity. And this is why I say boundaries aren't selfish. They are a lifeline. So boundaries actually are a lifeline back to your truth, back to having energy, and most of all, back to your soul. Let me just check and see. Yeah. Yeah, I know people that have been in past relationships. It's that's another big topic. Relationships. The first relationship that's got to be whole is the relationship we have with ourselves. And if we don't have our boundaries in check, then it's going to be not so good in a relationship. So now here's the beautiful part. So when you start to honor your boundaries, everything changes, ladies. Everything changes. Your energy starts to replenish and you start to wake up lighter, clearer, more focused. Your self-respect deepen because you've shown up, shown yourself in action that you matter. And what happens is that your relationship starts to improve too, because they start to become more authentic, because you're finally showing up as the real you, not the overextended, not the half present version of yourself. And guys, I have myself experienced that with my family. And it's interesting once you see it happens and how it changes. It's really, it all starts with us. And then there's freedom, the kind of freedom where you get to choose how you spend your time, who you share your energy with, and what you create in life. That is the power of strong, loving boundaries. So ladies, how are we feeling? How are we feeling? Let me know in the chat box. How are we feeling so far? Are you feeling okay? You're obviously in a reflective mode, which is all good. So, ladies, I don't want you to just leave here tonight feeling like inspired, or, oh, that was really good, I want you to leave ready to take action. So here's 3 simple steps that you can start with right away. All right. So step 1 is that you choose just one energy leak that you can close this week. Think about, it might be a habit, it might be a person, it might be a commitment. And I want you to start small and manageable so you can build the momentum. So can you write that if you're committed to just identify one energy leak? Have you got one? Ladies, have you got one there already now? Write it down. One little energy leak. We all got it. Think about that one. Only one. We're not going to change everything in one hit. Just one thing. Step 2. Practice saying no without over-explaining. Who has done that in the past? I mean, oh my goodness, I was one of those. I needed to explain everything. You don't need a long justification, because if you do, you get down the rabbit hole and you give away your power. Did you know that? A simple no, that doesn't work for me, is just enough. How easy. Can you practice saying that? No, that not with that energy, but no, that's sorry, but that just doesn't work for me. Not a full explanation. The reason for that, no, right, is, like, no, it just doesn't work for me. It's really powerful to be able to do that. The third step is that I want you to create a new daily anchor. So something small but consistent that you can keep, that keeps you connected to your power. So that could be, I'm going to set an intention every morning. I'm going to take a short walk every day. Or I'm going to be pausing midday to check in with myself. Have you got one there too? Can you come up with one there too as well? Yeah, you're getting better at saying no. It's so important, ladies. So it may seem simple, but this is powerful. And when you repeat them, that's when you begin to transform how you show up in your life. Because these small steps, they create really, really big shifts. So, I don't want you to just leave and feel inspired. I want you to leave ready to take some action too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email you out this energy reclaim workbook. And if you didn't actually book in via the link, can I get you to send me, or in the chat box or in a private message, send me your email address so I have that. And I also have an invitation for you to have 2 one-on-one sessions with me. And we'll do some exploration, what's going on in your life, and where you feel like you're a little bit stuck, and you can move forward from there. So you got 2 sessions with me, and in the email I'll be sending out, you can just book in with me there. So that's my gift to you. So beautiful warrioress or warrior, if you're a warrior, as we come to the end of this time together tonight, I want you to take a deep breath again. And just notice what you are feeling. Take another deep breath. Maybe you're feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit clearer. Maybe a little bit more grounded in your own power. So you've taken some really courageous step just by being here, by saying yes to yourself. That's a big one. And exploring what actually it means to hold on to boundaries and protect your energy and reclaim the pieces of yourself that may have been lost along the way. I want you to remember our energy is sacred, and your boundaries are really powerful, and you are worthy of living free. You're worthy of living aligned and unapologetically you. So I encourage you to choose one small, simple action, that you take this week, and maybe closing an energy leak, saying no when you mean no, and creating that daily anchor that connects you back to your power. These little shifts add up to life-changing transformations. And, that is amazing. So the workbook that you're going to get from me, it's an energy reclaim workbook. So it's just a few questions to help you reflect more deeply and integrate what you've learned tonight and carry this work into your everyday life. So if you're watching this video on another space, maybe on YouTube or somewhere else, you see it, there should be description in the video. And for you guys who are here live with me, I thank you for sharing this sacred space with me, because I see you and I honor you, and I celebrate that warrioress within you. And I want to say too, remember that you are strong in your body and you are fierce in your spirit, and you're definitely worthy in your soul. So much love to you, and may you go forward from here shining your true, powerful light. So thank you for watching. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'll connect in with you. So I am going to